It's the Sunday off day here at training camp in St. Joseph, Missouri, but KCChiefs.com never sleeps. Josh Looney alongside voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis. And Mitch, what a whirlwind it's been the first week and a half of practice. Behind us here was Family Fun Day, and we saw full pads come on for the first time, although not for the entire practice. The Chiefs now just have, the way I count it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, your 3 practices, your 3 walkthroughs, plus a walkthrough on Thursday before they kick off the preseason against Tampa Bay.
And really got only their whole team has only been here since Thursday when they were able to get on the field, all the other guys, through the collective bargaining agreement. So, yeah, it's crazy. But it's interesting to see how Todd Haley's handling this camp so far, and it's interesting to see all the different approaches by all the different teams in the league. He's decided to stay with conditioning. He's not putting in a whole bunch of installation and hasn't done a whole lot of total pad work. But he feels like it's the biggest need, and this has been, he's felt this way ever since he got here, was to be a tough conditioned team. He's not going to sacrifice conditioning for the sake of getting installation or doing a bunch of extra pad work. So we'll see how it works. I mean, everybody's got their own experiment, but I think it's been a really good week and a half, 2 weeks so far.
Yeah, we talked a lot about during the NFL lockout, the teams with the best ability to adapt and acclimate their plans were the ones who are going to come out winners in free agency, in practices, and that's what's impressed me most about Todd Haley. This camp is not a traditional camp that Todd Haley has run, but he adjusted that plan based on the cards that he was dealt to make sure this team is healthy and ready on September 11th.
Yeah, and I think has the conditioning to be able to maintain a whole season. I think if you've looked at the last 2 years, you've seen them play really good football in the second half of the year. Plus, they have avoided the injuries that some other teams have had. And I think that goes back to conditioning. I think this year, more than any, it's going to be very interesting to see what the injury factor will be throughout the entire National Football League and the approach that those teams who had a lot of injuries took to this year. But I saw some good things out here today. They were better in the red zone. It's one thing they want to improve upon, both in running the ball and throwing the ball. And Matt Castle had some good throws today in the red zone. So did Ricky Stanzi, that play near the end to Jeremy Horn. So there were some positives out here as well. But I think it's just been an adjustment for everybody in the NFL of how to approach this time in camp. I mean, you think about it. I was thinking about this morning. For Scott Pioli to sign almost 4 dozen guys, if you think about it, since July the 25th, like really? I mean, you start listing the guys that have had to be under contract and either be out here integrating or come out when they were able to come out on Thursday, and it's really an amazing, this will be an unforgettable camp. We'll talk about this for a long time.
Now another signing just a few minutes was announced before the practice. Amon Gordon, he comes trotting in about 10 minutes into practice during Family Fun Day. The Chiefs technically probably aren't done yet. They've got 85 now players under contract this year. NFL rules allow training camps to carry 90 players. That's 5 heavy than what we're used to with the 80 men. Now the fans, they've asked me over and over and over, and it's been tough for me to answer this question because of the lack of team reps we've seen, except for maybe these past 2 or 3 days. Who is impressing the most during training camp? Some of your thoughts of some guys who have stuck out with their performances thus far to you, Mitch.
Well, one of the areas, I've mentioned this, even right before the playoff game, actually right before the playoff game and then after the loss to the Ravens, was getting more athletic and explosive on defense. I see they have the chance to do that. Picking up a guy like Allen Bailey, again, it's a rookie, you don't want to count on him too much, but I also see guys that kind of came back more purpose to be more explosive. I think Andy Studebaker's had a very good camp at that left outside linebacker spot. And along the defensive front, I mean, to get Kelly Gregg is big, but also, Gerald Poe's got a chance to be a good player. To me, they just look better and look better defensively and potentially more explosive on the defensive front 7, which I think has to happen. If you look at last year, only 23 takeaways. And in the 6 games they lost in the regular season, I think there's only 9 defensive points scored total. So all of a sudden, if you can create some plays defensively like we've seen the last couple of years, like they did in the San Diego Monday night game, it changes the complexion of your team a great deal.
Yeah, everybody loves a good camp story, and I think Jim Zorn had one of the best quotes of camp so far. He was referring to Ricky Stanzi, and he said, Ricky Stanzi's season is the preseason. I think that applies to many of the young guys on this team. The preseason games are where they're going to get their most opportunity to shine. Out here, it's been a little bit scaled back, but I think next week Todd Haley's going to ramp it up just a little bit as we march on to kicking off on national television Friday night. And of course, Dustin Colquitt's
he's always around. That's one of the highlights of camp always.
Yep, good game. Dustin Colquitt and more Friday night on Fox. The Chiefs kick off their preseason opener against Tampa Bay. We'll see you then, and stick with us next week on KCChiefs.com.